Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. It's your DFS strategy video for the 2021 Tour Championship. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the preview video I put out last night because I covered a lot of good pieces of information. I gave you everything you needed to know prior to building your DFS lineups. If you haven't seen the video, don't worry. I have a video or a link to the video, top right hand corner. Drill down on that, watch the video, come back here. You'll have a better understanding of what I'll be covering in this one. This one's intended to narrow down our player pools and find anchor plays to build around. If you want to see what I'll cover in depth, I have timestamps in the description below. You can also find them on YouTube's progress bar by hovering over that said progress bar. Let me go ahead and throw something on the screen for you guys. Before I get into this, I want to let you know there is a giveaway this week. All you have to do, well, first of all, the giveaway is the optimizer. I know you guys have probably seen this before, but with a 30-man field, I've provided all my metrics based off of my sweet spot rank, which I'll get into this video a little bit later. But it's a very fun way to build. And there's an added wrinkle to it. If you do follow me quite a bit, you know I like to cover the bucket system. I have all of the buckets right here. You get to play around with your min-max exposures for those buckets, and that will produce different lineups for you. Now, this is really good to build one lineup at a time. You can certainly run and build 50, 90, even 9 lineups. I just think it's easier to do it by like 9s like that. But I will say this. It's not perfect. It's on Excel spreadsheet. It gives you the next optimal lineup based off of your conditions. What I would love it to do is build me out, 1,000 different permutations of lineups and give me the best values based off my exposures from that moment forth. But it doesn't. All it can do is when you run optimizer and then save that lineup, you can see the ownership column over here is populated, and the only really constraint where it doesn't duplicate your lineup is built in this max ownership spot. So then the next one will ignore all of those golfers that were just selected and choose the next 6 optimal golfers. So you can see the flaw in this. But if you wanted to go one at a time, just clear out your lineups and just see, okay, who's my favorite or what's my best Bryson DeChambeau lineup based off of SweetSpot's ranks? And it would pop up here. Or let's say, you know what? I want to make sure I have 2 7K golfers in my lineups. What would that look like with no other conditionals? And it will provide you 2 7K golfers. So it's a fun way to build lineups, especially if you kind of have, say, difficulty with creativity, building them on your own, and you don't really quite trust those big optimizers from different websites. You certainly can play around with this one. So the steps in order to do that: be subscribed to the channel, like the video, leave a comment in the comment section. I want to know who you're anchoring your lineups around. It doesn't have to be a 10K plus golfer. It could be somewhere in the 6K range or the 7K range. I want to know who you're anchoring your lineups around. And then unfortunately, I can't see your email address on YouTube. You're going to have to email me, sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Say, hey, I would like the optimizer. And this optimizer doesn't just come with the information you see here. I also have the dream sheet on here. You can keep track of your contests. So if you did save lineups, you can hit this randomize button and it will just throw them up here, right here. It's really easy to import this then into DraftKings. And then I also have the bucket summary for you guys. So you can see all the different numbers. Remember, this is basically your historical optimal lineups. Which buckets have shown up inside the optimal lineup? What is your min, your max, the frequency rates? You can see top 5 frequencies. It's always based off of top 10 frequencies, but either way, you have this at your disposal as well throughout this giveaway. That was a lengthy giveaway, but I thought it would be worth it to explain it. So yeah, and if you're on Twitter, all you have to do, follow me, like the tweet that I'm going to send this video out on, and then retweet it. And I will reach out to you asking for your email address. So you have all this information at your disposal. You have the optimizer. It's a lot of fun. It's easy. I do like to spreadsheet. I like to build my lineups on a spreadsheet. This is just a faster way to do it. I can look at all of my conditionals and do it from here and then save it to a spreadsheet. So I think it's pretty fun. Again, that's the giveaway this week. All right, let's go ahead and get in this thing. I like to start with the SweetSpot rank. Now, the SweetSpot rank doesn't change despite there being a starting score. I'm still using the same stats I've been this whole entire year, which might need a little bit of an update, but for the time being, it hasn't been terrible. It's provided good ranks. We do see a lot of them, you know, my top 20 rankings usually has 2, 3, even sometimes 4 golfers in the optimal lineup, which is what we want to see. I'd love to see all 6 of them, and hopefully we can get there or try to figure out a way to explain some of those 2 random or 3 random golfers that are, you know, towards the middle or end of the SweetSpot rank. But I like to start here because this drives the Marquee tee time pairings, which we'll talk about right after this. My number 1 golfer, believe it or not, is no one in the 10K range. It is a Mr. Rory McIlroy. It's mainly him because of his really good Bermuda stats. He's the best Bermuda golfer in the field, 2021 Bermuda. Overall Bermuda, I think Colin Morikawa beats him, as does Dustin Johnson when it comes to the overall Bermuda. But for the most part, again, outside Morikawa, no one really beats him when it comes to Bermuda. And recent form-wise, Colin Morikawa really hasn't been as good as Rory. So I like seeing Rory number 1. That's nice. Number 2, Jon Rahm, best golfer in the world. When he's on, it's crazy because if you'd asked me like 2, 3, well, maybe a month ago, if any golfer was at their 100%, who would you choose? I would have probably told you Rory. When Rory's on, no one's beating Rory. It's a close like second between Dustin and Rahm, but now that we've seen Rahm kind of excel, remember Rahm is like 26 years old. So he's a young guy. He's just getting better. Rahm at his best, especially with his short game, his putting, his creativity. I can't really say most of these guys at the top here are that creative. They mostly have one shot shape that they kind of stick to. It doesn't matter. But yeah, Rahm is a great all-around golfer. But number 1 ranked guy, Rory McIlroy in my rankings. Then is Jon Rahm. Justin Thomas is number 3, and that's kind of surprising. Like, I enjoy seeing Justin Thomas up there. That price tag of $11,000 and his starting score of -4 makes for interesting lineup builds. And if you pair Thomas with McIlroy, you can build some pretty dangerous lineups. So I enjoy seeing that. I don't want to go through all of these guys, but I find it interesting. Scotty Scheffler's 6,800, and he's number 9 in my rankings. Berger's 5,800, and he's number 11. Matsuyama's number 16. And by the way, we talked about this in the preview. Starting score does not really matter. We covered it in the preview. Again, go watch a preview. You'll have an understanding why it doesn't necessarily matter. A lot of it just comes from DraftKings points. You want birdies, and playing score is probably more important than starting score. Those first place points, by the way, can get surpassed. We've seen it the last 2 years. I think we saw it last year. Let me double check on that. Yeah, Xander Schauffele scored more points than Dustin Johnson. He started at 3 under. DJ started at 10 under. Playing score pretty darn close, but still, that the 4 under that Xander has on top of DJ gave him more DraftKings points than DJ. So again, yeah, starting score does matter. It gives you more points when it comes to placement, but we still want birdie makers. So that's why, seeing some of these low price guys, it doesn't really matter. Like, look at the talent at those price tags. Makes for really easy build up or lineup building, honestly. And really, it's just those 3 golfers that make a huge, I wouldn't say dent, but like 6,000, 5,000. I mean, they're all around that. I mean, Berger's around 6,000, Matsuyama's 6,500, and Scheffler's around 7,000. That helps build lineups. I mean, we could build lineups. Rory, JT, Berger, Scheffler, Matsuyama, and we still have $10,700 to work with. So why not just load up on DJ? There we go. We're under the salary, and we have everybody inside the top 20 of the SweetSpot rank. So it looks pretty good. And there's only 30 golfers, so I can show you the rest of them on the screen. Not really waste much time. I'm not going to talk about some of these guys. Abram Answer, kind of towards the end. He's under the 2/3 rule, which is interesting. I wasn't really that much on Answer. And I know one of you guys out there like Sam Burns, we talked about it in the comments of the preview. He's sitting there at 24. And I didn't do anything. I let the rankings work for themselves. I didn't add anything crazy. And I think maybe a lot of it has to do with the fact that he doesn't have any course history at this golf course. But that doesn't really matter because we're going to get into that with the buckets. Not having course history is kind of, it helps you out. So either way. Oh, Corey Connor, 6,200. I've seen him up there. Patrick Reed, I did add him to my pool. So he's here. He's kind of at the bottom as well. All right. Let's not waste more time doing that. Let's talk about our marquee tee time pairings. Basically, what I end up doing is sorting this out by game. We only have golfers going out by as twosomes, so we don't have 3 golfers. So the 2/3 rule is, it still works. So 2/3, obviously there's 30 golfers in this field. 2/3 equals 20. I want the pairings to be under that 20 score. Their cumulative sweet spot rank, I want under 20. So with that being said, I went ahead and highlighted each of the pairings that are actually under, or that are 20 or under. Let me go ahead and filter by color, light green. We actually have 5 groups to talk about. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The marquee tee time pairings in the past, what ends up happening is we usually find 2 golfers that are in the optimal lineup from these tee time pairings. And not in the same group. They're in different pairing groups. So, for instance, it could be a Rory and it could be a Justin Thomas. We just talked about those guys. It could be those 2 guys that are in the optimal lineup, and they start here with the marquee tee time pairing. So this is a great place to start building our lineups. We have Scotty Scheffler, Daniel Berger. Great choices. Both hit this like a similar shot shape. Daniel Berger's probably a little bit more flatter. Scotty hits more of a higher golf ball, but they both hit fades. So it's going to be nice for them golfing together, seeing the same types of shots off of the same tee boxes. And then we have Rory and DJ, which are huge powerhouses. Obviously, when we built that Sweet Spot rank-esque lineup, DJ was a part of it. And I'm not going to say stay away from pairing guys up together. There have been instances where we have seen golfers in the same group inside the optimal lineup, but whereas we have like a 90% hit rate of finding 2 golfers in the optimal lineup within these marquee tee time pairings, when they're paired together, it's probably like 5%. So it's very infrequent that we see 2 golfers in the same group in the optimal lineup. So I would try to stay away from that kind of stuff. So if I were to rebuild that lineup, I'd probably take DJ out. And it's I don't really necessarily hate doing that. I think it can lend to success, especially in a 30-man field. I don't think it really matters, but let's say if this is a normal event, there's a cut, or either way, there's a repairing after Saturday or after Friday's round. These guys won't be playing together the entire time. So one guy might get blistering hot and might finish 4 strokes better than the other guy, and might be even leading the tournament. He might fall off, off the leaderboard by Saturday or even Sunday. Might finish outside the optimal lineup. Still might finish inside the top 20, which is very good. Don't get me wrong. The other guy who is 4 strokes behind might climb his way up into the optimal lineup. And sure, both of them did well, but they both don't turn into the optimal lineup. Like, they're both not in the optimal lineup. So all I'm trying to say is be cautious, be wary. Try to, curb yourself from doing it. If you need to put like a limit, say 10% of your lineups, you can do that. But outside of that, try to pair any of these twosomes up together, like a Scheffler and a Sungjae, or a Rory and a Cam Smith, or even a John Rahm. Like, try to do something like that when you're building your lineups. But yeah, we have Scotty and Daniel as 1, Rory, DJ as the second marquee group, Colin Morikawa and Sungjae M. I'm a little hesitant on Morikawa because of his back. I was on him last week, thought he would do better. There's clearly something still bugging him. And the thing is, most of the time you need rest in order to get over an injury. You can't keep playing. So Morikawa playing in the Tour Championship, I get it. He wants to finish as well as he possibly can to get that $15 million at the end of the rainbow. But I don't really feel that comfortable playing Morikawa. Sungjae Im, on the other hand, absolutely love him here. He's very good on Bermuda grass. A very attractive price tag, $7,300. Yeah, I can load up on Sungjae. Then we have JT, Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith can hit the ball in both directions. JT is starting to hit the ball in both directions. It will be fun to watch these guys golf together and see what type of shot shapes they're trying to hit. See if they're trying to be more creative or if they just stick to one particular shot shape. But watching Cameron Smith at the Northern Trust Open, or the Northern Trust, sorry, he was pretty darn good. He was shaping shots both directions. It looked awesome. So I like Cam Smith. And we all know Justin Thomas is hitting a duck hook now. Like, he put it in his arsenal. He hit it at the Players Championship on 18 to win that tournament. I wouldn't really give him the greatest marks when it comes to creativity and flighting shots in all different, types of directions. But he's still trying. It'll be interesting. I like him regardless. I like JT. Bermuda's his preferred surface. At least that's where the stats kind of break it down as. And Cam Smith, I don't think he's that great on Bermuda. Yeah, he's probably the worst in the field, but not terrible. Not terrible this year. He's in the green, which means it's good. But these dark red numbers are a little concerning. But it's still over 10%. For finishing inside the top 10. That's the success rate. That's what this column is. He has a 14.29% success rate, finishing inside the top 10. So, with a 30-man field, the odds of finishing inside the top 10 are good. And then we have our last group, Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau. Jon Rahm, not very good Bermuda stats for the 2021 season, but 45% clip of finishing inside the top 10. Pretty mediocre for in relation to this field, pretty mediocre. Still kind of in the green, a little bit in the yellow. Bryson DeChambeau, also mediocre when it comes to Bermuda. So these two golfers, interesting. It'll be a fun dynamic. We already know kind of the Bryson drama that's been happening. Does that leak into this group? Does his whiny mentality kind of get on Jon Rahm's nerves? Does Jon Rahm play up? Doesn't matter who he's playing with. He just plays the best of his ability. I don't know. I do like Rahm. I like Rahm in almost any scenario. But this week is going to be interesting to see what happens with DeChambeau. See if that affects Rahm at any way, shape, or form. And kind of see if Rahm just doesn't play that well at these Bermuda events. I just saw 20 events. That's all we have for Rahm. I might have to look into that and see if it's different, if I have this wrong, but that's interesting. I don't really remember seeing Rahm at many Bermuda events, to be honest with you. He's never really at PGA National at the Honda, other than maybe some of the WGC events. And that could be true. I mean, this could be a right stat, but I'm not 100% positive on that. So maybe it's a good reason to fade Rahm, but I probably won't. All right, so those are your sweet spot ranks. Those are your marquee tee time pairings. Let's go ahead and try to figure out some bucket anchors to build our lineups around. And I won't try to spend too long on that. Let's get to the summary. Let me slap a filter on here. And for those that do get the optimizer, you can also put filters on. Just go ahead and highlight all the headers and then go to the data tab and then put filter. It's different because this is Google Sheets, but it's going to be easy for you guys to get to. So in order to find anchor lineups, what I want to do, and I'm sorry for not including this last week, but I've now included an optimal lineup frequency portion to the bucket system summary. And this gives you the numbers, the min and the max of, which bucket shows up in the optimal lineup. So if we see a number greater than 0 in this column, that's telling us that it's happened at least that many times every single year. So right away, you want to build your lineups with a last year one. You want at least 2. I mean, we see that in optimal lineup, but I should say this. I should also provide this. The projections I have over here, we need to do kind of a comparison between the optimal lineup and that projection. If that projection is lower than the optimal lineup, then we probably want to stay away from, following the optimal lineup min max to a T. So anyways, okay, let me rewind a little bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of all of the percentages here for frequency rate except for 75 and 100%. This will narrow down our buckets that we can choose golfers from and kind of compare it against the projections to see if we want to pair any of our lineups there. So the very first thing what I want to do is actually get rid of any zeros. Actually, let's just keep it here and we'll actually talk about what to do. So when it comes to the number 1 bucket, last year ones is where I think we want to start. So that is your 1 to 20 range from last year. That's not hard to get to. There's only 30 golfers in the field, usually every single year. I shouldn't say usually, it's always. So having a top 20 finish from last year, easy to get to. But either way, we see anywhere between 2 to 4. We're projecting around 6 golfers, 3 to 6. So right away, we want to kind of go north of that. So I'm thinking 3 to 4 golfers we select in our optimal lineups or try to build into our optimal lineups to chase the optimal lineup. So very first thing, let's go ahead. Last year ones. How many golfers are last year ones here? Not many. We have 14. 14 golfers. And if we were to go ahead and sort this by salary, you can see the golfers you can select. A lot of good choices. Rory, for instance. You have John Rahm as well. Finau, JT, DJ. Remember, Abram Answer is one of our worst ranked golfers in the field, and that's fine. I can go ahead and fade him. But then there's also Xander, who plays well at this tournament. Morikawa, Hovland, Im. Kind of skip past English because I don't know how I feel about him at this tournament. But Scheffler, Matsuyama, and Berger. These are the low price guys that I want to be building my lineups around. So, when it comes to this, we'll have to see what the salary buckets look like in order to build lineups. But you have a really good choice of golfers here. You could actually build all 6 positions of your lineup with those golfers. Projection's 5.66, but I always round up. So that would be 6. Projecting around 6 inside the top 10. You might not get there with the optimal lineup. That's why we see 2 to 4. But it's not a bad way to start. So you saw the golfers there. The only other bucket worth mentioning is the last year 2s. And those are golfers who did not play last year. It looks like we have 10 of those golfers. And we typically see 2 to 4 of them. So let's go ahead and take a look. Starts with Patrick Cantlay. He did not play in this event last year. Neither did Jordan Spieth. And those are your only 2 10K and above. Now, Cantlay is your leader. With FedEx points, he has the starting score of -10. So he's number 1 right out of the gates. People might catch him before he even tees off. But before the event starts, he is leading this event. Which you can make your argument. Do you want to play somebody who's already in the driver's seat? Sure. I don't have an issue. I mean, he has kind of bad course history. Average finishing spot place is 20.67. That 6.7 means there has to be at least 3 events in order to get there. So he's had at least 3 events here. No better than 20.67. Now, well, there's also another thing to mention. He was near the top, I think, in 2019 when it came to starting score. Was he leading this thing? He was in second. And he ended up playing 9 over par, finished 1 over altogether after starting 8 under par, finished in 21st place. So even with the starting score, still did not play well. So obviously for you guys at home, that might deter you away from him. And rightfully so. Bermuda stats aren't the greatest in this field, but they're pretty good. Don't get me wrong. 30.57 would be top 20 in most fields. Most fields of like 150, and 26% top 10 success rate. That's really good as well. So let's not get it, let's not get it wrong and say he's bad on Bermuda events. Maybe the events that he's played here just didn't have his A game. We could chalk it up to that. He is leading this event, so you can easily play him. I'm going to stay away from Jordan Spieth. This golf course is tough. Well, you know what? Never mind. I think you can spray the ball off the tee, and he's going to get away with it. His strong game is around the green, and I don't think he's really going to find a lot of water trouble. There's only 4 holes that have water in play. Now that I think about it, Jordan Spieth might be a decent play. I did the course breakdown in the preview. I didn't talk about this, but I didn't see a lot of trees that are that are going to cause trouble. And when we looked at the property, when we looked at windfinder.com, the property is just a huge rectangle, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of trees around. So I think Spieth can spray the golf ball around and be okay. Especially when he's starting, where is he starting at? -4? Yeah, it's not terrible. I still think he can make his birdies, and Bermuda's not a bad surface for him. He's just right in the middle of the field, right in the middle of the pack for this field. So Spieth is pretty interesting. And then you have a whole bevy of golfers down here. I spent too much time talking about Cantlay and Spieth, but Burns, he's 24th in my model. Actually, all of these guys are pretty bad in the model. And I'm wondering if that has to do with like course history and Bermuda stats. Has to be, right? I do like Louis. Just thinking of the name. I'm gonna stay away from Patrick Reed, but I do like Sergio. I guess. And I don't mind Brooks Koepka either. Like Koepka at $7,800, I can load that up all day long. So yeah, again, these are your only 2 last year buckets, and you want to select in this one. Kind of almost forgot to talk about that. So this one is 1 to 3, so it can drop down to 1, and that means for my min, I'm also dropping this down to 1. I don't feel extremely confident grabbing 2 golfers from this bucket. So keep that in mind. All right, let's move on. Last week ones. Let's just load it up, and then we can talk about the bucket. Last week ones. We've seen up to 6 inside the optimal lineup. So we did have a lineup having all 6 golfers from this bucket. We are projecting somewhere between 3 to 5. I'm going to round down with this one. So 3 to 5. Yeah, load up on these guys. So I do think, 3 is a safe number. Can we find 3 out of the golfers here? You're going to have to grab some of these low price guys. There's a Sung Jae, easy, 7,300. There's my guy Rory, easy. And if I wanted to choose any of these guys 10K and above, that's fine as well. I don't mind starting Rahm, maybe skipping Rory, or maybe even including Rory, and then maybe coming down and trying out an EVR. $5,000 is the bare minimum, but he's also 30th ranked, and those aren't very friendly Bermuda stats. Let me scroll over so you guys can see it. Not super good. And I'm assuming those are the worst in the field. So like Sergio, for instance, or even Kevin Na would be a decent choice. I would probably favor Na over Sergio, but I think, never mind. I think they both have really good scoring potential. So grabbing any of those guys, Sung Jae, I almost want to say is a lock at this point. In a Marquee Tee Time pairing, inside the top 20 of the sweet spot ranks, showing up in the buckets that matter the most, Sung Jae is going to be really hard for me not to play. And then the rest of these guys up at the top, like, you have your pick, you have your choice. I don't think that you're going to really have, you're going to make a huge mistake selecting any of them. I'll load up the next bucket because we do want to talk about last week 2s. This is your 20 to 40 range from the BMW. Now, we have seen 0 show up inside the optimal lineup, so we have to be careful of that. But it's always nice. It's always good to look at the projections. We have somewhere between 1 to 3, and it almost is 2 to 3. Like 192 is pretty darn close. And again, if you are wondering why I'm saying 1 when you see 192, is because I'm basically dividing this by 100 or timesing it by 0.01, multiplying it by 0.01. So moving the decimal place over here, 1.9 is kind of what I'm looking at. Because this is 192 spots out of 600 that I will be probably building my lineups around. So 192 of my positions will have a last week 2 in my 100 lineups. Because I like to build 100 lineups. 100 lineups has 600 positions. You get the drift. But either way, 1, I'm going to round down. 3, I'm going to keep here. I could round up and say it's somewhere between 1 to 4, but I think 1 to 3 is a more accurate number. So you want to choose 1 to 3 of these guys. I like Thomas. We already talked about Spieth. Scotty Scheffler, he might also be a lock. And I don't even mind saying Daniel Berger would be a lock. I know these guys are going to be popular. I know Berger's going to be popular for sure. But I'm really like Scotty Scheffler. And I also do like Joaquin Niemann, despite not having the greatest Bermuda stats. I mean, 18 is your average finishing position in 2021. Not super great when it comes to overall Bermuda. And if this was a 150-man field, he'd be right in the middle. He'd probably be 70th, 75th place when it comes to this number. He actually could be a little bit better than that. But definitely not inside the top 20 when it's Bermuda. 21% success rate finishing inside the top 10 is pretty good, though. So, yeah, Joaquin Niemann, not a bad choice. I'm probably going to fade, almost a full fade on Stewart Cink. I like Niemann. I like Berger. I like Scheffler. I like Oosthuizen, Koepka, and Thomas. And the rest of the guys are just meh, honestly. Like, I really don't care. So again, you want to select 1 to 3 of these guys. Going into the next one, course history 1s. This is a huge number. I'm projecting up to 8 golfers finishing inside the top 10 and allocating 480 of my spots of 600 for this bucket. So it is a monster. Again, I'm rounding down, so that's somewhere between 4 to 8. The optimal lineups have seen 2 to 5 in there. The top 5 frequencies have seen 3 to 5, so it looks like at least 3 for sure, but I think maybe 4. And this might be the easiest bucket to select golfers from. I don't know how many are actually in it at this moment, but let's take a look. Okay, we have quite a bit. We have 20. So we take out 10, we have 20, and we want to pick at least 4 of these guys. Well, at least 3, most likely 4. You have Rahm, we have JT, we talked about these guys already. There's Rory, Xander, Morikawa, Brooks, Sungjae, Scotty Scheffler, Berger. We already know we're building these lineups, right? So how about this? Let me go ahead, pull up that optimizer, scroll down. We know we want Sungjae. Why don't we just lock him in? We know we want Berger. Let's lock him in. And we know we want Scotty Scheffler. Let's go ahead, lock him in. And let's see what it builds out just from this. I'll scroll in a little bit once it finishes so you guys can see a little bit better. You can actually see one of the lineups I had already built. Thomas, McIlroy, Morikawa, Koepka, Sungjae, and Berger. That seems like a pretty fantastic lineup. All right, Mr. Optimizer, let's go. How about this? Let's get back to it. Yeah, for the rest of these golfers, it's a murderer's row, I guess. I'm probably staying away from Abraham Ancer, probably staying away from English. Kokrak, I will also be staying away. Those are really bad Bermuda stats, especially for overall Bermuda and 2021 Bermuda. So yeah, probably staying away from Kokrak. Let's see. Did we finish? We did. So oh my goodness. It gave me Rahm, it gave me McIlroy, Koepka to go with Sungjae, Scotty Scheffler, and Daniel Berger. So I'm happy. Like those are golfers that I like, and we get to put Rahm on a lineup. Yeah, sign me up. $50,000. I like it. Let's look at the next one. Course history 2s. Those are did not plays. So like I said, it's actually not terrible to have 0 course history. And most of the time, see, I don't how many are in this bucket? Okay, so we only have 4. So that means there are some golfers that have course history worse, or some are north of 20 as their average finishing position. But we have 4 in the field. What does the bucket system say? Okay, so we have 0 to 4, 75%. So basically 3 out of 4 years we've seen a golfer from this course history finish inside inside the optimal lineup. Sorry, I was thinking of something else. But yeah, so not terrible. It's not a for sure thing. We only have, it does say 3, but it should be 4. I think because of me adding Patrick Reed a little bit later, it kind of messed up a little bit. But either way, we have 4, but our projections aren't very good. 0.7, yeah, I can round up to 1, but then it's 0 to 1, meaning there is some volatility with this bucket. I would probably avoid it. Just kind of stick with my course history ones. Again, we're projecting up to 8, so it can be pretty good. Recent forms 1, 2, and 3, they all have at least 1 inside the optimal lineup. Recent form 3 is the only bucket that really has, anything close to 0. So we have to be a little wary of that. But again, we've seen at least 1 every single year inside the optimal lineup. But yeah, 6, we have somewhere between 3 to 6. 2s, we have somewhere between 1 to 3. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Maybe we'll, see another golfer we want to anchor down on. Well, JT seems like the other guy that I want to anchor down on. So why don't we just rerun this and put JT as another anchor play and see what it spits out. Maybe it'll run faster. It probably won't. Okay, it did. And really what it switched out was Rahm and Koepka for JT and Morikawa, which I'm totally fine with. That works with me. That's a really good lineup as well. And maybe I will include both those lineups. This one leaves up 48, or this takes up 48,500. So if you want to leave money on the table, there you go. There's a good one to go by. But yeah, seeing JT up here once again. I mean, we do now see Cantlay as well, so not terrible. Jordan Abrams shows up. So does McIlroy, Xander. Those are guys I actually do like. Morikawa, there we go. He showed up. We want that. We also saw Brooks in there, so I think we probably have our anchor lineups pretty easy. We can take a look at recent form 2s. There we go. John Rahm is in this one. What do we want to see here? Somewhere between 1 to 3. Wow, 1 to 3 with 7 golfers to choose from. 1 to 3. You have really good odds of picking the right guy. And that's okay. So that's projecting inside the top 10. But we have seen one golfer, 1 to 2 in the optimal lineup. Well, one at least 100% of the time, but we have seen 2. So you can start your lineups here because again, this is, well, hold on. I did show this to you in the preview. How about we just look at the years where the scoring actually mattered? And we only have 100% to choose from, so we can filter out some of these things. Recent form 2s are still there, by the way. So this is also including the new salary structure for 2019, 2020, where we have the starting scores. So keep that in mind. And those come with $15,000 price tags. So we've seen an optimal lineup from here, meaning you can start with Jon Rahm, or Finau, or Bryson, or maybe just come down to Oosthuizen, or even Kevin Na. We've talked about those guys. This one's an easy one to select from. 1 to 7 of your guys. This might be the easier one to choose from. And then 3s, this one, yeah, Kokrak, Sink. I'm probably staying away from that one. I don't care for it whatsoever. If we look at the summary, recent form 3s, we're projecting somewhere between 0 and 0.5. I mean, I can't even really round up. But either way, that's what we have. And I really don't want to talk about salaries or strokes gained or anything like that. So why don't we go ahead? We can keep this up here to kind of look at, but why don't we build some lineups? I was thinking about doing a player pool like I did at the BMW, but with as low with such a limited field, I don't think it's necessary. So why don't we go ahead? What I want to do is take that optimizer, select the golfers that I see, go to my lineup construction page, and let me post it here because I want it to go all the way down, and then I want it to come across. Boom. Leaving $1,500 on the table. That's my first lineup, and I love it. And I could do the same thing. I can maybe post this down like this and switch out, who was it? It was JT and Morikawa with, I believe, Rahm and Brooksy. I think that's crazy. Like, Brooks is a top 5 golfer. $7,800. That's insane. Is Brooks top 5? I can't remember. Where are you in the official World Golf ranking? He's 10th. Okay, top 10 golfer. Top 10 in the world. Either way, those are two spectacular lineups that I like quite a bit. Now, if we remember recent form, what was it, 2s? We had a small number to choose from. Why don't we just start with Rahm? See what we can do with Rahm. Let's build like 2 lineups with Rahm and see where we can go from there. We want 1 to 3 from here. How about we do 1 with Oosthuizen and 1 without? And we just keep it like this. And what was another one that was really easy to select from? Course history 1s. We want to select most of our guys from here, basically. Yeah, was there anything that was like super easy? Course history 2s? Nah. Yeah, I don't think so. I guess last year 2s, 10 golfers in there, and we want to select somewhere between really 1 to 2. So let's go to last year 2s. Sorry. We might have one of those golfers in here already, but we don't. We do have Louis. So we already have our 1 in the 1 lineup, but in the other one, let's pick another guy. To me, I like Sergio. I'm not going to stay away. Yeah, we'll go Sergio. So Sergio can fulfill that role. So we have that one covered. The next one to look at, maybe last week 2s. We want somewhere between 2 to 3, essentially. Optimal lineups has shown 1 to 2. So last week 2s. Again, we have Louis. So Louis already up there. I do not see Sergio. So in the other one, I'm just going to make it easy. Ooh, who do I choose? I kind of want to do both. So let's see. Let's put Berger here because that's with Louis already. And then I'm going to put Berger and Scheffler in this one. Now, I'm kind of actually stretching it a little bit with this bucket, but that's fine. I'm okay with it. And then, let's see. It says we want a 10K, at least 1. We see a lot of projections for it. Good. 8K, 7K, and below 6.5. So do we have that? Let's see that. 8, 7, 6.5. Louis 7. Berger is below 6.5. Scotty is not below 6.5, but these 2 guys are. So I have 2 here. I don't want to get another one there. But it looks like I need, and I do have my 10K and above with Jon Rahm. So I would need an 8 and a 7 in both of those lineups. I'm not going to get an 8 and a 7 here. So, well, I could because we can leave money on the table. So if we go to course history 1s, I think this is probably the easiest one to find an 8 or a 7. Well, Xander Schauffele, right? That seems like a no-brainer. Put him here. Where do we put Rory? 10-1. Can we do anything with that? Nah, I think I keep that as is. I can't really. Oh shoot, I can't put Rory up here. I can put Xander though. Perfect. This kind of helps with Rory. Why don't I just put Xander in that one as well? Why not, right? Leave $800 on the table? Sure. That seems like a pretty good lineup. I like Matsuyama. What do I need in this one? We already have our 8. We have our 7. We have our 10. We need one that's in that 6K range. Let's see. Which we are, never mind. We have it in Daniel Berger. So we have everything covered when it comes to salary. So I have a free reign of selecting whoever I want. Well, Sungjae has to be one, right? So Sungjae is actually 7,300, meaning I have to get lower. It just gets me right on Scotty. And that's fine too. I'm leaving $600 on the table. So when it comes to that, I actually like it. I'm not going to build any more lineups from here, but it's interesting to put all of those together and just hand build based off of the rules. Why don't we go ahead and see what the optimizer does with different golfers we want to anchor our lineups around. So the number 1 Patrick Cantlay lineup, that seems like a smart choice to go with, since he is leading this tournament. For whatever reason, the optimizer, like, it does it in the background, and then if I hide the screen, it'll come back to it. So it's Patrick Cantlay, Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, Hideki Matsuyama, Daniel Berger. Sign me up. Like, that is so good. I'm just doing all my lineups on the screen for you guys. Kind of trying to see what else I should apply to the video. But how about a Jon Rahm lineup? I mean, we kind of talked about Jon Rahm. I've been building my own lineups with Jon Rahm, but I don't know what a really good one would be. I'm cool with this one as well. Jon Rahm, JT, Morikawa, Scheffler, Berger, Horschel. Yeah. So I'm kind of showing you guys how this optimizer can be ran. I like that. I like doing it this way. It's a little easier on me. Let's see what a Bryson lineup does. This might change things a little bit just because he's in different buckets, but maybe it won't. Let this optimizer think. So stupid why it does that. Bryson, Rory, McIlroy, Hovland, Scheffler, Horschel. Yeah. I almost love every lineup that I'm watching the optimizer build, which is maybe good, probably bad, but I don't really care. Let's do a Finau lineup, and why don't we just do all the I don't know if I want to do all 10K golfers, but maybe. That's a great lineup. Wow. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I think we already know what our JT lineup is. It might even include another 10K golfer. Same thing. Same thing that we just saw. Let's do something. If you want to get like different results, sort by the filter or the metric, I should say, and go largest to smallest. And then run the optimizer again and see what it does. It probably changed things. It does. That's a really good lineup. Has Neiman in it. Although it makes doing the 10K and below lineups a little bit more challenging to find. Maybe I just leave it at that. I shouldn't go throughout all of them. You guys can go ahead and figure what that would look like by getting the optimizer. And again, all you have to do is tell me who you are anchoring your lineups around in the comment section below. Be subscribed to the channel, like the video, reach out to me in or by email, and email me at SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. Just tell me you want the optimizer. You don't have to say much, that you're just interested. I will see your name, or hopefully I will. Subscribe to me as well as commenting in the comment section. But I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else to add. 50 minutes? Man, we did a lot of these videos pretty quick. I'm just checking out past shows and seeing what I covered, and I think that's it. I have nothing else to give to you guys. So this is the last strategy video for the 2021 season. The 2022 season is going to be a little bit different. I am going to be focusing more on shorter videos, trying to get more to the point, telling you which buckets you want to build your lineups around, and then basically getting to the player pool and finding the correct plays. I love explaining things to you guys, because when I watch content creators or DFS industry people talk about, golf or anything like that, for whatever reason, I feel like there's some kind of hidden agenda, or there's something hidden behind why they're choosing. Like they're either trying to influence who everyone selects, or perhaps they just don't know what they're talking about, or anything like that. So that's why I like to be transparent, giving you all the information I possibly can, and explaining to you the process while I'm going through it. So some of it might be long-winded, and that's why these videos are so long. Unfortunately, the majority, and there will be a goal for this upcoming season. We're going to try to grow the channel as much as possible. And there are going to be incentives in doing that. So in order to reach more people, we have to kind of dial back the explanations and just get straight to the point. Because, most people just have attention spans of goldfish or puppy dogs, whatever you want to call it. So having long-winded conversations isn't really ideal. I absolutely love them. I love listening to them. But in order to grow this channel more, I kind of have to adapt to what most people want. And that's not me giving up who I am. I do want things to be snappier and quicker and more to the point. It gives me more time to do things. It makes uploading a little bit easier as well. So, and I might actually do a Wednesday live show that could be a little longer as I'm building lineups. So if you are interested in that, let me know. I would love to know that going forward, just to get a kind of a idea of how many people are interested. There are already a bunch of Wednesday live shows, but mine's going to be much better, right? So anyways, let me know how you feel about that. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. This is our last event of 2021. Hopefully you guys, hopefully let's win some money. Let's win some big bucks, no whammies. Again, optimizers available for you guys. You guys should know what to do. If you have any questions, reach out to me. But that's all I have for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you in a prize picks video tomorrow. All right, bye.